What's up? What's up? It's Mikey. And for today's episode, we've got a hot topic. This is something that's probably going to draw some lines for a few folks. It can be a sensitive one for some people, maybe, but I think it's a good conversation to have. I think it's relevant for a lot of folks, and I'm curious to see what you all think. I'm curious to see your comments, your thoughts after you've checked out this episode. So let's jump right in. So I think we need to have a conversation about Costco. Is it just me, or does it seem like Costco's is doing too much? I feel like we've been members of Costco's for at least 20 years. Definitely longer, but at least 20 years. And I feel like, very recently, and that's probably in the last 2 years, I feel like Costco's is just going overboard with the security and the idea of, we have to verify your membership. We have to verify you're a member, at like every single point of the process in store. And, we were just at Costco's yesterday to pick up a couple of items that we needed. We chose to go to Costco's because we figured, we wanted to pick up a couple of other items that we knew we wanted to have or bulk. So we said, let's go to Costco's. And usually, the weekends I try to avoid Costco's because on the weekends it's crazy. I just want to get in, I want to get out. And just to get into Costco's, just the parking lot sometimes, getting into the parking lot, maneuvering and navigating away from the gas station and getting to a parking spot is a task all its own. And then, when you get inside, depending on how busy it is, that's a whole other thing. You're navigating the crowds to get through the aisles, to get the things you want. Costco's has those little carts set up in, strategic areas for folks to sample and taste the foods. And that tends to pose its own challenges. So then you buy your items, right? Work your way to checkout. Actually, let's even step further back, okay? So you park your car, you're finally working your way into Costco's, right? And now they've got these new computerized membership card scanner things, right? So you have to scan your membership card, your phone, right? Because they want you to do it from your phone on this little iPad scanner thing. It has a QR code or whatever. So it scans your membership, and it tells them that your membership is current and valid, right? And who you are. If your membership is expired, gives them an alert, the attendant, and then they tell you have to go over to customer service, and then you renew your membership or whatever. So you get in and you do your shopping, you navigate through and maneuver through the aisles, you get your items. And yesterday, this was the first time it happened to us, but we got to the checkout, and this attendant comes up to us, and she's like, "Oh, are you guys getting ready to check out?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're waiting online to check out." So she's got this big iPad thing with a scanner gun. It's all attached, all one piece. It's like an iPad in a special case with a scanner gun, and she starts scanning our items. And so, I'm no filter. I'm like, are you checking us out? And she looks at me and she's like, well, I'm doing a pre-scan. And I'm like, oh, okay. What does that mean? So she's like, well, I'm going to scan it and link it to your membership. So when you get to the register, mind you, we're next at the register, right? The guy is helping one customer. and we're next. So she's like, well, when you get to the register, just give them your membership card and it'll pull up your shopping cart and you can just, pay. And, in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds great, I guess, right? But also in my head, I'm processing that as a security check. They're running through, pre-scanning the items in your cart, right? So there's no mishap when you get to the cashier. Like the cashier isn't going to miss anything, right? So she scans us, and as she finishes scanning us, he's ready for us. So we're pulling our cart through, hand him the membership, and he scans the membership and our cart comes up. But then this other girl comes around. It's usually like at the cashier, there's usually the cashier person scanning you, and then most times there's another attendant who's organizing your cart or packing things back in the cart, right? So she comes around while he's scanning our membership and bringing up our order, and she's counting the items again. She's moving everything and making sure that everything that was supposed to be in the cart is in the cart, and that we didn't somehow add something to the cart right after the lady just left us 2 seconds ago. And so then he gives us our total, we pay, and we make our way to the door, which if you've been to Costco's, you know that the cashiers, the checkouts are like, you can't go anywhere. You're going down, passing through customer service, out the door. But now you've got a line of folks, right? Everybody's trying to leave Costco's at this point, and you've got to wait there's 2 attendants, one on each side, and you've got to wait for them to check everybody's receipt again, right? To count how many items are on your receipt, how many items you have in your cart, and then mark you to clear. And, of course it's our turn. We hand the receipt over, and, she's looking through our cart and counting all the items. And it's like, we just had 3 people check this cart not even 2 minutes ago. I can't go anywhere else but out this door. There isn't any merchandise that I can snatch or take on my way out the door to add to my cart. So it just feels like Costco's is doing too much, like to make you feel like super uncomfortable. Like, I get it that they very likely have their loss prevention is probably pretty high. They're probably dealing with a lot. I mean, you would assume that they are, right? That they have to have this much security and this much verification of your membership. And it's like, do I want to shop at Costco's? I have to think about it. Do I want to shop at Costco's? Depending on my mood, depending on the time of day, depending on the day of the week, do I want to go to Costco's and put myself through that? Is a bulk purchase of chicken breast or, cereal or, paper towels worth that? And honestly, no. Like, we've cut back on our Costco shopping a lot. When we go to Costco's, we know we're spending money because you're buying in bulk often, right? So even though it's supposed to be cheaper, it's a little cheaper because you're buying in bulk, but you're paying more up front because you're buying in bulk, because it's cheaper over the long term, right? So when we go to Costco's, we know we're dropping $200, $300, $400 easy on whatever we're shopping at Costco's. And so, sometimes it's like, do we really want to go to Costco's? Because we know we're gonna spend that much money, and we don't need that many things. So we'll go to Aldi's, if we're just looking for grocery items. Otherwise, we may hop into Walmart, one of our local supermarkets, Ralph's or Vaughn's, depending on what we're looking for, what we need. But it's come down to the point, and yesterday was a good example when we're at Costco's, it's overkill where you have all of these people online, right, to get to checkout, but you've got 2 people doing nothing at the door when you're coming in, because they're just verifying your memberships when you come in. Then you've got this person pre-scanning you at checkout, and it's like, well, that person should just be working a register and helping move this traffic. But you've got that one person pre-scanning people, right, to count your items in your cart. And then you've got the other attendant who did another count at the checkout, right? So she's doing another count. She's not doing anything. And then you've got the two people at exit, right, that have to check your receipt as you're leaving. That's a lot of people not doing anything, when you could be improving the flow of traffic in the store. And yeah, again, I'm sure when you look at the loss prevention side, but you also have cameras everywhere, right? You have security and loss prevention teams monitoring those cameras, right? So it's like, I'm paying you because we have an executive membership, right? So we're paying, I think it's like $130, $140 a year for our membership. So we pay for this membership to come into this place of business, then be told, like, you know, and it's not even a welcome feeling, right? Like, I don't feel welcome when I come into Costco's. Nobody's saying, hey, welcome to Costco's, or, you know, whatever, or have a nice day when you leave. Nobody is like happy to be there, at least in my experience, and in the Costco's I visited. Never, right? So we're going in because we're just going to do a big bulk buy of whatever it is that we need. But the whole process just makes you feel like you're a criminal. Like, how many times do you have to check my membership ID? How many times? But they're doing it because the pre-scan came over, right, to pre-scan us. She asked for our membership ID because she scanned it, and then she scanned the items in our cart. We scanned our membership card at the entrance when we came in, right, to let them know that, yeah, we're members here, and we have a valid membership, right? And then the register, the checkout guy, scanned our membership so that he can bring up our pre-scan transaction, right? And then we're checking our receipt at the exit. So it's like, how many checkpoints do you need before it just feels like overkill? I get it. And, you know, I love what Costco's does as a company and for its employees and DEI and all this other stuff. I love it. I love what they're doing. But they really need to scale back, making their customers feel like criminals. It just, like, you're overdoing it. It's overkill. You know, I have membership. We have membership at Sam's Club. You know, I prefer going to Sam's Club. Why? Because Sam's Club allows me to use the app on my phone to do my own checkout so that I can get in and get out. So as I'm shopping, I scan my items on my phone in the Sam's Club app. And when I get to the exit, right before I get to the exit, I can check out, pay with the credit card I have on file, and walk to the exit, show them my receipt. They scan 2 or 3 items in my cart, and I'm gone. That's it. They're not making me feel like a criminal. They're not making me feel like I'm not wanted there. So often I'll go to Sam's Club instead of Costco's. But I just feel like Costco's is doing too much. They're going overboard with, you know, how they're safeguarding this holy grail of a membership. And it's like, I mean, yeah, you've got some items that are cheap, but it's not really that big of a discount. Now, we use Costco's for our vacation and travel stuff. When we went to Hawaii in February, we used Costco Travel, so there was some benefits and some savings, and we got like a Costco shop card, so there was some incentives there. But I didn't have to step into a Costco's to do that. I was able to do all that online. But anytime we have to go into a Costco's, it's just seemed like we're not wanted there. So it's like, I'm paying you for my membership, I'm paying you for my purchase, but you make me feel like you don't want me to be a part of your club. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm curious what the experience has been like for you guys. Let me know. Drop a comment, you know, shoot me a message. Let me know what your experience has been like lately, at least in the last year, let's say. If you shop at Costco's, what has your experience been like? And do you feel like Costco's is doing too much? Do you feel like you're not wanted there? Like you're, you know, a criminal? Like you're there to steal whatever, their samples that they're giving out. I don't know what it is that makes them feel like they have to check your membership, 4 or 5 times while you're coming in and inside of Costco's. So let me know what you think. Let me know what your experience is like, because I'm really curious. John looks at me and he's like, oh, you just got to relax. This is just their policy. This is the way, it is, right? If we want to shop here, this is the way it is. So this is what we have to. I pay to be there. I'm paying to be there. I'm paying for them to treat me like that. So, when that pre-scan girl came over and I hopped right on it, like, I'm sorry, are you checking us out? And she's like, oh, no, I'm just pre-scanning. John looked over at me because he knows I'm just like, what do you mean you pre-scanning? What does that mean? And, he's looking at me like, calm down. And I'm just like, well, I want to understand what this is, because in my head, again, you're just counting the items in my car. You're scanning my membership again, just to verify that I'm a member here. She did ask too. She's like, oh, is this going to all be under one transaction, or are you going to do multiple transactions? Because I guess she was trying to gauge if she had to verify another membership or split the purchase between the one membership card. It was just the way she approached us, it just didn't feel right. And so again, it's like Costco's doing too much. Like, there's no explanation. They just jump in and do whatever they want. But I'm paying to be here. This, I didn't just walk in and say, oh, can I shop here? It's like, I'm paying you to be here. So that means I'm paying you to treat me the way you're treating me. And am I allowing that? Yeah, I guess in a sense, yes. Once I walk through that door and show you my membership card, I'm allowing you to treat me how you feel like treating me. And I'm paying you to treat me like that. And so that's where it just, it's like, I don't know. I think our Costco purchases we've cut it down. I think we go to Costco's maybe once every 2 or 3 months now. Like, we're not shopping Costco's like that. And mostly it's because of traffic, how crazy it is to get in there, how hard it is to get out of there, right? When we just want to go in, grab our few items and go. That's why we go to Sam's Club when we need a bulk buy, because we can scan and go. Costco's, in order to use their scan and go, they want you to apply for their special credit card. Then if you are approved for their Costco credit card, assuming you want another credit card, then you can use their scan and go self-checkout. But I'm sure they still have other measures in there where they're having you scan your membership card. But it's like, why do I have to take this other step? Why do I have to jump through this other hurdle and apply for another credit card that I really don't need just so that I can do scan and go? I'll just go to Sam's Club. I'll just go to Aldi's. I'll just go to, my local supermarket or Walmart or some other place where I can get in and get out. So, we keep the membership because we also share the membership with my mother-in-law, John's mom. And, she uses it. I'm sure she uses it more than we do. Maria, I'm sure you use it more than we do. I'm sure. We only use it every 2 or 3 months. And so, yeah, I feel like we're going to be cutting down even more if this is going to continue, because it's just not worth it. I don't like having to deal with the craziness already, the traffic there, the parking, the traffic flow inside the store, the constant monitoring, the constant checking of my membership, all this stuff just for me to go in there and grab some milk and bread and a couple of other items. Like, come on, really? So yeah, let me know. I'm venting at this point, right? Because it's fresh in my memory from yesterday when we were there. It was a pain point. Even though we got in and out of Costco's in a relatively good amount of time, it was a pain point of every time we had to verify membership along the way. So let me know what you experience when you go to Costco's. Let me know if I'm just being extra and Costco's is doing the right thing and it makes sense. Maybe there's something I'm missing, right? Maybe I'm not seeing something. And I get that. And that could be the case. So let me know what your experience is like. If you work at Costco's and you experience this firsthand as an employee of Costco's, send me a comment. Let me know what the deal is. Help me understand why Costco's is going so overboard. And I'm open to the possibility that I'm wrong, and that I'm seeing it, in the wrong way. So help me figure it out. This has been another episode of Just Mikey Unfiltered, where we have the real talk about real life, and it's all unfiltered. Hit that subscribe button, shoot me a comment. We'll see you on the next one.